No. We'll do it live! Fuck it!
I'm Liz.
This is Surly Amy from skepchick.org.
I'm Keith from Sydney, Australia.
Hello, I'm Darrel-Ray, author of Sex and God and The God Virus.
This is Rebecca Watson of skepchick.org.
I'm Vivian Wheeler from Planned Parenthood.
I am Devin Napoli from Planned Parenthood.
I am Richard Carrier.
I am Monette Richards from Secular Woman.
I am Stephen Olson from Carl Sagan's Dance Party.
I'm JT Eberhard, and I'm a he-thinker who loves the she-thinkers.
I'm Debbie Goddard. I'm from the Center for Inquiry and African Americans for Humanism, and I'm a human thinker.
I'm a Faisal, and I'm a he-thinker, she-thinker, they-thinker, it-thinker.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Fitzgerald, and oh yes, I am a she-thinker.
Hello and welcome to Secular She-Thinkers, where secular girls geek out and justifiably rage about the week's news. I'm your host, Dory, joined by my co-host, the Dirty Nerdy.
Hello.
And our regular contributor, Caitlin.
How's it going?
And our special guest, Darrel-ray.
Hey!
Darrel's the author of The God Virus and Sex and God. Tonight we're going to talk about non-monogamy and all its lovely forms: swinging, open relationships, polyamory, monogamous relationships, and Darrel's going to teach us about a new approach to jealousy, among other things. We also have Bosses and Trolls, the stupid sexist song, and You're Welcome, Hollywood. But first, a word from our sponsor. She-Thinkers is sponsored by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/She-Thinkers. Audible has over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For every fan who signs up for a free trial, She-Thinkers receives $15. It's a great way to help us pay for the podcast, even if you don't have a lot of money. Again, go to audibletrial.com/She-Thinkers to download any free audiobook of your choice. That's SHETHINKERS, She-Thinkers.
I'm never going to stop giving you shit about that jangle.
I love this jangle. It's my jangle. We just randomly started singing it one night. So,
all right, Darrel, are you ready to roast some trolls with us?
Okay.
Have you ever listened to the show? Like the normal one?
Yeah, Darrel was on our Skepticon show, which is a little different from what we normally do, but you've already been on our show once before, so...
Well, that's good. I had fun doing it with you guys.
Yeah, you're like an old pro now, so... Okay, so our first troll that we're going to deal with in the news is India's Supreme Court, which has declared that homosexual sex is illegal. Boo.
I would just like to know how they're enforcing this.
Yeah, are they sneaking into people's bedrooms, or what?
Is it just by, accusing people, he was having gay sex, and then they just take them at their word? I'm glad you didn't do the kids cheering one.
No.
Do the kids cheering one.
No, I'll save that for Bosses.
Just before the Supreme Court came out with that, they had the 6th annual Gay Pride March in Delhi.
Really? That's so fucked up.
And was well attended.
No, they're
going to find out who all attended that and then go arrest all of them.
Right.
I don't know.
I've heard that India's actually, Hinduism is not perfect when it comes to gay people, but it's still better than Abrahamic religions. So there's not as much hate in that part of the world as there is here.
You've got the whole Hijra thing, and
there's quite a bit of hate, but if they just look at their own temples, they'll see all sorts of gay sex going on the very vast relief of their gay temple, of their temples.
Yeah, they said something. They pulled the old "it's unnatural" line.
I don't know. There's other species that have gay sex, and they seem to be doing it pretty well.
They said they're going to ban people from engaging in carnal acts against the order of nature. So I just want to know how do they define against the order of nature? I mean,
does that mean oral sex is off the table too?
And I still want to. That raises the question of with the third gender thing with Hijra and all that. How are they putting that in there?
They don't get to have sex
at all, of course.
I don't know.
Do you know anything in particular about the history of Hinduism, Darrel? from your book doing Sex and God?
Yeah, there was actually quite a positive sex-positive movement. That's where we get the Kama Sutra from.
Yeah.
But the influx of two things happened in India about China and India about 1,000 years ago, and that was the influx in China of Confucianism, which is incredibly sex negative, and the influx of Islam in India, which is incredibly sex negative. In both those countries, there was evidence, a lot of evidence, of very sex-positive behavior. Now, sex-positive is relative. We would look at it today as still very misogynistic, but it was a heck of a lot more positive than we see today in either China or in India. And the Kama Sutra, of course, everybody points to that, but it hasn't actually been used or practiced in India for over 1,000 years.
It was funny. I was visiting the local art museum here with my mother-in-law earlier this week, and there's a big section that's on Indian and specifically Hindu art, and of course the Hindus, at least historically, are completely unashamed about sex, so there's a lot of graphic shit going on in all these sculptures that we're walking by.
I'm sure walking through with your mother-in-law was...
It wasn't awkward for me, but I could tell it was really awkward for her because she kept making little snide comments about them.
My grandmother went to Europe with my sister when my sister was in high school, and they went to the Louvre.
Mm-hmm.
And while they were there, my grandmother apparently got lost. And she was like, yeah, I just wandered around for a while, and then suddenly I walked into this room, and there were all these naked men. She was like, it was penises everywhere. I didn't know what to do. And my grandmother's like, I mean, she's not like a really austere, proper woman, but she's still pretty conservative.
Right.
So it's funny to hear this coming from her.
Her penis is everywhere.
Yes.
The funniest one was, I can't remember which god it was, but it was a god and goddess who were, making babies like you do. And my mother-in-law giggled over, he's like reaching around her, like it looks like they're doing the Christian side hug, but then he's got his hand cupping her boob on the other side, which was pretty hilarious because you might miss it if you're not paying attention. And so she's like, Dory, look at this.
Nice.
So at least she wasn't completely worried about it, I guess.
All right, so...
Do you want to do the next troll?
India's Supreme Court, boo for
on
making
you.
Gay sex somehow illegal. I don't know how they're going to enforce that.
Good luck.
Without just rounding up random people, which makes it even more terrifying. Yay.
So we have the shit in Russia, and now we have shit in India, too.
And now we have shit in the United States. Of course, there's always shit in the United States.
Although this is actually in our own backyard.
Yeah, this happened,
this
close
next
to
troll.
where we live. So...
This was in Fort Worth, I believe.
Yep. Actually, I think he was arrested in Burleson.
Oh, okay.
But the 16-year-old named Ethan Couch, I'm sure a lot of people who are from the area have heard about this because it kind of...
Oh, it's all over the place.
It's all over the place
in
now.
our neck of the woods.
He was driving drunk at 3 times the legal limit and had Valium in his system, and he ran over 4 people going 70 miles an hour and killed them. The other passengers in the car were all severely injured. There's somebody else that has severe brain damage. And apparently he was uncooperative and combative when emergency services got there, and he told the police, I'm out of here. So he was going to plead guilty, but his parents are really wealthy. So they hired an attorney that used a psychologist who said that the boy was a product of wealth and was used to getting whatever he wanted. So, of course, the judge says, oh, if you're used to getting whatever you wanted, don't worry about jail time. You'll just get 10 years probation. And to stay in one of the most expensive rehab centers in the country. Yeah.
It's good to be rich, I guess.
And, I mean, I just want to juxtapose this against our story last week of the black man in New York who was unarmed and shot at by police and is being charged for the police's bullets that hit bystanders.
Right.
Poor black man, unarmed, didn't do anything wrong, being charged with felony assault because police opened fire. And young, rich, white kid kills 4 people and apparently doesn't even care. Reports are coming in that at trial he didn't seem remorseful at all. He was uncooperative at the scene and everything, and he gets off with probation. So, wow.
Yeah. Like, fucked up doesn't even begin to describe this one. Like...
And I do want to say that in general, I'm pretty much for rehabilitation over punishment to begin with. But the problem I have with this is that I know that
he's only getting that because of his situation.
Exactly. He's only getting it because he's rich.
He's rich and he's white. That's why he's getting it.
If it were a poor black person, or really just any poor person, but, you know, racism.
I doubt this would even be the case if it was a rich black person. It was a rich black boy who was 17.
Exactly.
So, yeah, way to go. And by the way, for those who don't live in Texas, who might not know how fucked up our judicial system is, our judges are elected.
Yay.
So,
and this
therein may be the reason for the judgment.
I can almost guarantee
that's
why.
This judge is not being up for re-election, so it doesn't really matter to her, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do want to say, this isn't his first time to get in trouble. Apparently, when he was 13 or 14, I don't see it on this page. I think he was 14, but he got arrested. Not even arrested. He got ticketed because they found him.
Oh, because he was trying to fuck some passed out girl in the back of his car.
There was a naked.
He's a real charming boy. This one.
She was naked and passed out in the back seat of his car, and he got a ticket for it. A ticket, really?
Yeah, because the moral of the story here is that money can't buy everything. Oh wait, yes it can.
Yeah.
Our judicial system is the best money can buy. That's what the
pretty much
boils down to. All right, let's move on to the next troll.
Oh,
Fuck this kid.
He was 15-year-old with a 14-year-old girl.
Well, I mean,
not too much.
The age gap isn't really with the issue with that one.
No, it wasn't. I just wanted to be accurate.
Okay.
So, that story just pisses me off so much. So what's next?
Warren Ellis. This one pisses me off because Warren Ellis is a comic book writer that I've liked in the past. It's been a while since I've read anything by him. But man, like this one, so it's bad enough that he's got Wolverine basically giving this huge racist diatribe in the latest edition of Amazing X-Men. Or Astonishing X-Men, I'm sorry. Astonishing X-Men. Spider-Man is amazing. The X-Men are astonishing. Totally different.
Astonishingly racist, apparently.
Or at least Wolverine is.
Oh,
the worst thing about this, because I don't even want to read this shit because it's so fucking terrible. Basically, it's the kind of shit that you've already been hearing from Rush Limbaugh and other conservatives where they're like, oh, Africa is just full of crazy people and Nelson Mandela is a terrorist and all this other bullshit that they've been spouting for the last week or so. But it's out of the mouth of an X-Men, and historically what just happened? Historically, the X-Men have been, hit all about civil rights and things like that. And what makes this even worse is he's going off on this racist diatribe, and then he's doing it right in front of Storm, who is a queen of a fucking country in Africa. And Storm is just like, oh, I don't have a problem with this. Bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's not just even that. I mean, Wolverine has traditionally... I mean, yeah, okay, he's not the greatest X-Man, but he's traditionally been respectful for racial minorities. I mean, yeah, he's an asshole, but he has respect for people. And not only are the X-Men based on civil rights, I mean, Professor X and Magneto are straight up built on fucking...
MLK and
Malcolm X. I mean, and he straight up says, Nelson Mandela is a terrorist, blah, 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 right here as Nelson Mandela dies, basically.
Yeah.
Is when it comes out. And I know, okay, he didn't know that Nelson Mandela was going to die right as he was writing this shit, but seriously, but...
I don't know about that. I mean...
I don't know. I'm not sure...
I mean, I'm sure he was writing this shit, because it takes probably a month or two for the writing and inking and all that stuff to go through the process. They've got a whole they make these things 2 or 3 months before they actually come out. But still, this shit is.
Like I said, I'm extremely disappointed for a lot of reasons. One, Warren Ellis has been a good writer in the past. I don't know if like age is getting to him or what. And like of all the places to do it, don't do it in X-Men.
Yeah.
Like don't do it anywhere, but especially don't do it in X-Men.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do it in X-Men, have it come from like a villain or something. Don't have it come from like one of the X-Men who is most known for giving a shit about race and, you know, a history of showing that he gives a shit about people even when he's an asshole to everyone.
Yep. Okay. Our last troll is the Australian High Court, which I guess is the equivalent of the Supreme Court. So we've got 2 different Supreme Courts being shitty this week. The Australian High Court struck down the marriage equality laws that Australia had already passed. So, from what I understand, and I don't understand much about Australia's government system, but their legislature had passed marriage equality, I believe, for about a week. So there were a bunch of people who got married, and now all of those marriages are void. Go ahead, Daryl.
The legislature of Canberra, which is the capital, but it's the city council of Canberra, passed the marriage equality legislation, and so people started getting married. But the federal government, which is very similar to ours in that sense, federal government already had a law against marriage equality, and the Supreme Court ruled that Canberra's law does not supersede the federal law.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's very similar to the U.S. issues.
Yeah, so if the U.S. had a law specifically against it, then our states would be.
We did have one, DOMA.
Yeah.
But our Supreme Court went the other direction. Had it gone the direction in favor of DOMA, then we would have the same problem Canberra is having now.
DOMA never said that there can't be any same-sex marriages. It basically left it up to the states. DOMA did.
That's true.
The Australian law actually does say, like, specifically comes out and says no same-sex marriages. So that's the difference there.
Right, you're right.
It would be like.
But yes, DOMA is terrible. So.
It would be like if W was able to pass that stupid amendment that he kept going on about that would ban gay marriage everywhere, and then it would, null and void all of the states that had passed marriage equality.
Yeah.
Basically. So that's what they did, which, legally, I mean, I don't know much about Australian courts, but if they're anything like ours, legally, that's kind of all they can do.
Yeah.
And so I would say the court is a troll, but also whoever it was in the national government that advocated for it and made this law to begin with, they're the real trolls here.
Well, and what I've heard,
they're the real trolls. You're right.
Well, and we've got a few fans that are from Australia, and from what I've heard, their high court is similar to ours, where they're having to deal with having conservative members of their high court trolling them. So there's there's a few different trolls to throw around in this one. Okay, so Daryl, what we do once we've gone, because those are all our trolls for this week, and what we do is we vote on who we think the worst one is, and then we unleash somebody on them. So you get to vote. We've got India's Supreme Court. We've got the
Couch. I think his name is Couch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trolls in that
situation. The kid who literally got away with murder.
Yep. Warren Ellis, the author of the X-Men, and the Australian High Court. Who's your vote for?
Well, I hate that Texas one, but right. I'm going to vote for India. So it definitely affects a hell of a lot more people than all the others put together, and negatively, maybe even life and death.
Yeah. Okay, Caitlin, you're our next rank up and guest, I guess. So
I'm gonna go with the the one here in Texas, the couch case, because there's a lot of trolls there.
Oh,
'Cause it's not
man.
just him. It's all the judges and the police and all that who have gotten him off, the lawyers and shit.
What pisses me off about that one is that I don't necessarily disagree that he shouldn't have like treatment and probation and things like that. I just think that should be consistent across the board.
Exactly.
And it's not.
Exactly.
That's the real issue with that one.
No, nobody could ever go in there and be like, well, I'm the victim of poverty. That
Yeah,
wouldn't work.
that
It
wouldn't
doesn't
work.
Exactly, and that's a national-wide system. It's not just one kid. It's a
Yeah.
Damn it, you're taking all my lines.
yeah, exactly. So it's even though it's a one kid here, there's way more trolls here than just the one kid who killed 4 people and raped a girl and all that shit.
Or possibly
raped, yeah.
Maybe was going to. We're not sure.
Yeah.
But okay. So we've got a vote from Darrell for India's Supreme Court. We've got a vote from Caitlin for the couch kid.
I always go last.
Yeah, you always go last. I want to vote for Warren Ellis, but he's not the worst one in here. So that one really pisses me off, just because I love the X-Men.
If it makes you feel better, everyone don't listen for a second so my vote doesn't get ruined. I'm gonna vote the same as Caitlin, so that one will win anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
Vote for whatever you want.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna agree with Darrell, and I think the India Supreme Court one is probably one of the worst ones. So.
Uh-oh. We have a tie.
We might have a tie.
I'm voting for the Keller teen because he represents everything that is wrong with the system. The fact that more people don't get rehabilitation, the fact that rich white people are favored over everybody else. I mean, if you want to delve deeper into this subject, I suggest reading the book. It's by, I want to say, Marissa Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The New Jim Crow.
Yeah, that one.
It is. It's a wonderful book in the sense that it's really well researched and well sourced, but it's a terrible book in the sense that it's really depressing when you actually look at the racism that's still today inherent in every single area of the law.
So
all the way from who the cops pull over to what sentences people get and everything like that, every single area of it, and how they're treated in prison.
So I guess the way we can phrase this is we've got a tie. So our 2 trolls of the week are India's homophobic judicial system and America's racist judicial system. Because and classist. Because it's really not about the kid. It's more about the whole system in general that's fucked up. So, all right. So
system.
Yeah, we're gonna unleash Crazy Eyes. Speaking of the judicial system.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, so we're gonna unleash Crazy Eyes on both of these judicial systems.
I will cut you! I will cut you! Don't make me cut you! You know where the fuck you are, bitch! You don't know me!
That is my favorite way to deal with trolls.
I love Crazy Eyes.
We've done other responses to trolls, but nothing beats Crazy Eyes from Orange is the New Black.
I don't know. I still love our Janeway one.
That one was good too.
I forgot what the Janeway one was.
It was the one where she's talking shit to some people who were trying to bully her, and she's
It was the Borg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she's talking down the Borg, that one was good too.
That was a great one too.
Okay, this is the fun part, Darrell, where we get to talk about awesome people. And we vote on bosses. So
no Slate, I don't want to see an advertisement.
So this is our Like a Boss section.
But we've never used that song. Weird.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Have we?
I think we did.
I think we did once.
Yeah, for the Queer Pride.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember that.
Now what we
that was
do
my
is
first episode.
Well, you'll find out. So
all right.
Dirty Nerdy, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, this one's pretty awesome.
You definitely know the most about this next story.
So y'all have all heard of these so-called revenge porn sites, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're called revenge porn because the stereotype of them, what the media likes to say is, oh, well, men get dumped and get angry at their exes and then upload whatever nudie pics or videos they have of them. When what actually is happening is there's some of that happening. There is. But what actually is happening is that women are being harassed online by having either they have their computer or emails hacked, and somebody will just steal naked photos from their computer and then post it on these websites. Or a lot of the women are having their faces actually just photoshopped onto someone else's naked body. They post their name, their phone number, their address, their work. They post their families' phone numbers and bosses, and then the owners of these sites encourage the people on the website to harass these women. And some women have gotten fired from their jobs and everything, and it's terrible. But California basically created a new law just to deal with this bullshit, and they arrested the owner of a revenge porn site. And that's amazing. His name was Kevin Bollert. I don't know how to say his name. Fuck it, he's an asshole. I don't care. They arrested this asshole who lives in San Diego, and he was running a revenge porn site. But I find it amazing. They're charging him with 31 counts of conspiracy, identity theft, and extortion. Basically, he was on the side. He was running a blackmail scheme where he would post the naked pictures and personal information of women and then email them and demand money in order to get the listing taken down. And really, what I don't understand is why California had to create a new law sort of for this. As far from what I've read, they basically created a new law.
Sounds like just extortion.
Yeah, it sounds like extortion would already cover that.
Well, not only that, but it breaks confidentiality, because in order to publish naked photos of somebody, you have to have a signed release from them.
Yeah, and if you don't have that, then...
You can't just publish photos of somebody without asking them. The only difference is if they did it while they were in public. If they did it and were expecting any sort of privacy, then you cannot post those photos. That is already illegal. But Governor Jerry Brown did sign a law explicitly banning the practice. And
I guess just to make sure there weren't any loopholes in the law.
I guess so. But as far as I know, this is the first actual arrest that's directly related to it. A lot of the sites have already been shut down now for like a year or two because of the woman we talked about in last week's episode, I believe.
The You're Welcome Hollywood section.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
Was that You're Welcome Hollywood, or was she a boss?
We did You're Welcome Hollywood for her because we talked
Yeah,
about how they would butcher the story to make it movie worthy.
But the problem with just shutting down the sites is that it doesn't always shut down what's going on, because a lot of times they'll just move it to a different site.
Yeah.
And they'll just keep it kind of underground and continue harassing these women. So they're hoping that if they start arresting people for it, that it'll cause other men who want to run these sites to like decide not to, because I could get arrested. Because one of the guys who was really prominent in this business, I guess we can call it,
extortion racket.
Extortion and harassment racket, really. He was being sued, like sued in civil court over it, and he would literally just laugh at the suits as he got them and throw them in the trash and just ignore them. So,
doesn't work that way,
it wasn't working very well. And plus that put all the onus on the victims to get shit done.
Yeah.
And that you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to spend all of your money and all of your energy and time when you're the one who's been victimized.
Yeah. Again, with the broken judicial system, it should be working for you, not the other way around.
I'm going to say that Governor Jerry Brown and the Attorney General Kamala Harris are bosses here, because Governor Jerry Brown signed it into law, and the Attorney General is the one who upped it and went ahead and arrested somebody over it. So, yeah, go you.
That's an awesome
End
thing.
this bullshit.
Yeah, California's definitely got its ups and it's got its downs.
Sort of.
But, Daryl, I'm sure you can talk somewhat about this. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that somebody can lose their job because there's a naked picture of them somewhere.
I know.
And it happens all the time, and I just think it's, like, ridiculous.
We could probably do a whole episode on that.
Oh, yeah, and that's one of the things with California. I mean, just not this last election year, but the year before, they passed a bullshit law trying to work on, trying to ban like sex trafficking and all that, but it was so poorly worded that anyone doing any kind of sex work, even prostitution, could be labeled as a sex offender for life, the same way like child molester. So, it's just very poorly worded. So again, it's like California has its ups, it has its downs. I love the state. Beautiful place.
That's the problem with legislating against sex trafficking, because it
usually ends up legislating against sex workers.
A lot of consensual sex workers who are doing it because they want to end up getting caught up in that net.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it ends up hurting people that it should be helping, I guess.
Or not even affecting, because they're not sex trafficking victims.
Exactly. That's a better way of putting it. So
next boss. So this one.
Was this supposed to be in here? I think I put it in the wrong spot.
No. This is supposed to be in here.
Okay.
Our next boss is, I guess it's a combination of Vanity Fair, who just recently put out a pretty fucking haunting article about how NuvaRing has been causing a lot of lethal multiple heart attacks and pulmonary embolism and all kinds of shit. Like, it's happening at a significant enough rate that it should not have passed screenings. It just shouldn't have. It's too fucking dangerous. So there's thousands of women who are filing a class action lawsuit against Merck, which is the manufacturer of NuvaRing. So I don't know who we want to make the boss in this one. I guess either Vanity Fair or all of the thousands of women that are done putting up with this shit. But I just, how does this shit even pass scrutiny? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a troll. This could be a boss. This is... makes me thankful for being sterile, I swear. But yeah, I guess we would say Vanity Fair would be the boss in this one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're putting the word out there for letting others know that, hey, don't use this shit anymore. Go get more conventional birth control. Go back and get on the pill or whatever.
It's not, and just to clarify, it's not like if you use NuvaRing, you'll definitely get pulmonary embolisms, and it's not like it's killing the majority of people who use it or whatever, but it's statistically significant enough that this should be taken off the market, and they need to figure out what the hell's going on before they can deal with it. I mean, there are risks with any form of birth control, particularly hormonal-based birth control, but it's too much, so...
I can't see the article obviously, but does they give like a percentage number, like 25% or whatever?
I believe it's 6.5 times more likely than oral form of contraception, which again is not super high. It sounds bad when you hear it that way, but it's still pretty high. All right, so that's one of our bosses, is Vanity Fair and the women who are suing Merck.
I did want to add one thing on that a lot of doctors refuse to sterilize women who haven't had children.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and so while NuvaRing and other hormonal birth controls might be, the risk gets higher the longer you're on it.
Yeah.
So there are some women who are on these medications for 20 or 30 years because doctors refuse to sterilize them. And so they just have to, it's do I stop fucking? Or do I stay on this thing until I hit menopause? Well, so that's another angle to it.
They do it to men too, but not as much. Chris was trying to get a vasectomy before he and I got together. He doesn't need one with us because there's no chance of pregnancy with me. But he was trying to get a vasectomy before we got together because Chris doesn't want biological children. Ever. So he was like, all right, I'm just going to go get sterilized. It's a lot less invasive for me than it is for a woman, so boom, complication over,
Perfect.
Shouldn't be a big deal. But he told me, doctors always are like, oh, well, what if you change your mind? okay, well, you can reverse vasectomies. It's not completely undoable, but
Yeah.
he already knows he doesn't want biological children. Go fuck yourself. Just believe what I tell you and do your damn job.
Yeah. So I just want to put it out that's another angle to it. So some people might read it and be like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Most women aren't on it for that long anyways. Like, well, what about the women who are?
Yeah.
And, yeah. So I guess...
It's more trying to control people's and specifically women's reproductive
asexuals,
abilities.
lesbians, etc.
Yeah.
And the asexual lesbians.
So I guess we were saying that Vanity Fair was the boss there for getting the word out?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of heard it while I was downstairs.
Yeah.
Making drinks.
Dirty Nerdy ran downstairs to make us drinks. I hope you're drinking
Listen
too,
to it.
Daryl.
Oh, I am. Yeah.
Yay!
You and your Cape Cods.
Oh.
All right, next boss.
Is our good friend Daniel.
Daniel.
Moran is.
Man, he's a boss, that's for sure.
Hell yes, he's a boss.
Yes, he is. I had to defend him on Facebook earlier this week.
Yeah,
I was
I saw
so
that.
pissed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So.
To people who normally are like, who were self-proclaimed tolerant people and are pro-gays, and I'm like,
I hate the word tolerant so much.
You use the word tolerant? Fuck you.
If you're not accepting, then I don't want to hear how you tolerate.
And I still can't get
people.
him and Shayra to move in with me.
Well, they've got a kid, so.
Well, it's not just that they've got the kid; it's the issues with his mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That sucks.
His mom's going through some shit, so
Yeah.
I can understand
But,
that. But
he's a boss because he could be the first genderqueer
elected official in the country.
In the entire country.
I didn't even know
Also, he's
that.
against fracking, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So check mark from me. If I lived in his district, I'd vote
He lives
for him.
in Denton, so.
That's my district.
Yeah, so any of our listeners who live in Denton, you need to vote for Daniel because he's awesome.
Yep.
He's the Democratic candidate in the area.
In fact, you can find a video of him from, what was it, last semester? He went to a conservatives town hall meeting and like asked him why he voted against the atheist chaplains in the military. That was a pretty great video. You should go look that up. I think him at Meta or JT Everhard or someone featured it. I can't remember which one.
But Daniel's amazing, so you should totally vote for him if you're able. Not only is he genderqueer, but he's also does he identify as bi or pan? Bi, I think.
I believe it's bi.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
here. He's bisexual and an atheist, and he's genderqueer. So woot, hooray for extra labels. And he's an awesome.
And he's not a conservative asshole.
Yeah.
So
And he's an awesome guy. He's a good friend of ours. Our other friend Shayra is his why am I forgetting?
Fiance?
Well, his fiance, but she's also his
campaign manager.
Campaign manager, thank you. Clearly I've had enough drinks. So
You've had one.
No, this is her third.
Wait, what?
Third. Isn't this your third drink?
I guess so.
I assume it is.
Yeah.
She gets tipsy off of one.
It's true, I'm a lightweight.
The ones that you make, Caitlin.
I'm a cheap date. It's cool.
I've seen her get tipsy off of one drink that any bartender makes.
So, Daniel's our third boss. Yay, Daniel. You're awesome. We love you. We hope you win.
Move in with me.
All right. And our fourth boss, the U.S. Foundation bought Hopi masks for $530,000 and returned them to the tribes.
Yay!
I love this story.
It was the Annenberg Foundation, which is based in L.A., and there was a controversial auction going on in Paris where a bunch of tribal things were being auctioned off as artwork against the tribe's consent.
Yes, the U.S. Foundation and the U.S. Embassy both tried to block the sale from happening, but they couldn't. And so I guess they just decided to buy it all themselves.
And then gave it back.
Or at least a lot of it. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it doesn't make up for all the bullshit that natives have to go through in this country. But it's at least, it's working towards that, and I really respect them for doing that. A lot of people do tend to look at I mean, it's hard to go to like an art museum and see something that it was obviously not just art taken from another country and being put on display. It makes me wonder, like, did they get that with the locals' permission?
And that's what I was going through earlier this week when I was at the art museum, because a lot of it was from other countries and a lot of it was from like native cultures, and I was like, I doubt all of this was given with consent.
I mean, it's nice to be educated and see other cultures, but I also don't want to steal from them in order to do that.
Yeah.
So, good on the U.S. Foundation and the U.S. Embassy for trying to stop the sale to begin with.
Well,
good on them.
just to clarify, it's specifically the Annenberg Foundation.
The Annenberg
It's
Foundation?
a U.S.-based foundation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everything I read is just said the U.S. Foundation. I thought that was the name of it. The
Nope.
Annenberg Foundation. Thank you.
Yep. All
That's
right.
pretty awesome. So, Daryl.
Same way last time, Daryl. You get to vote for your boss first. So we've got the California governor getting rid of revenge porn asshole. We've got Vanity Fair spreading the word about NuvaRing dangers. We've got Daniel Moran, and we've got the Annenberg Foundation.
Well, Daniel's a friend of mine, so I got to vote for him.
Yeah. I have a feeling I know how this vote's going to go down. Caitlin?
You know, I love Daniel, I love California, but I have to go for the Annenberg Foundation.
No, it's pretty boss.
Dory?
Damn, I'm torn between Daniel and Annenberg Foundation. I love Daniel and I want him to win, so I'm going with Daniel.
Wait, so you went with the Annenberg, Caitlin?
Yep.
And then 2 for Daniel? All right. I don't know whether to fuck all this up or make it a tie. I'll go ahead and make it a tie. I'll go with the Annenberg Foundation for that.
We've got a tie for troll and a tie for boss this week.
That never happens.
Never.
Except always.
Except always. Okay, so our bosses are Daniel and the Annenberg Foundation. Yay!
Yay. Do we have a boss speech this week?
We do.
Okay. I was going to say, is that our boss speech?
No. Our boss speech this week is actually from Carl Sagan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Those worlds in space are as countless as all the grains of sand on all the beaches of the Earth. Each of those worlds is as real as ours. In every one of them, there's a succession of incidents, events, occurrences which influence its future. Countless worlds, numberless moments, an immensity of space and time. And our small planet, at this moment, here we face a critical branch point in history. What we do with our world right now will propagate down through the centuries and powerfully affect the destiny of our descendants. It is well within our power to destroy our civilization and perhaps our species as well. If we capitulate to superstition or greed or stupidity, we can plunge our world into a darkness deeper than the time between the collapse of classical civilization and the Italian Renaissance. But we are also capable of using our compassion and our intelligence, our technology and our wealth to make an abundant and meaningful life for every inhabitant of this planet, to enhance enormously our understanding of the universe and to carry us to the stars.
Audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial for you, the listeners of Shethinkers. To check out their service and download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. This week, we personally recommend Sex and God, How Religion Distorts Sexuality, written by tonight's guest, Darrel-Ray. It's all about the ways that religious guilt can keep you from having a better sex life. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Shethinkers for any free audiobook of your choice. live now.
Okay. I'm totally ready for this, guys.
You're always prepared, Dirty Nerdy.
Never prepared. Never prepared, always surrender. That's my motto. Okay.
What are you surrendering to?
I don't know. Dory?
Shoes?
I guess. Shoes. Yeah, I suddenly saw these Harry Potter themed shoes on Facebook, and they look amazing.
They're amazing. I don't even like high heels, but those are awesome. The only time I wear high heels, it better be a wedding or a funeral, generally, is my consensus on high heels.
I don't know. You got to see those boots of mine.
Yeah, boots are a little bit better because at least you've got some more support built into it. But how about you, Daryl? Do you like wearing high heels?
I don't wear high heels too often, but when I do, I usually fall down and break my neck, so that's a problem.
I'm going to meme that later. It's going to be a picture of Daryl. It's going to be like, I don't always wear high heels, but when I do, I break my neck. And then I'll make another one that's like, I don't always wear high heels, but when I do, I'm pretty.
Okay.
And then I'll tweet it. All right, so Daryl, the next section of our show is our stupid sexist song. And right now, since it's close to like Christmas and stuff, we're doing
sexist Christmas songs.
Yeah, basically. So we listen to the song and then we stop it when we have stuff to say about it.
Yeah. So for example, the one that we did last week was
Baby,
It's Cold Outside, which definitely has some non-consensual undertones to it. I'm sure you're aware. This week we're doing Santa Baby, which has some like weird gold digger sexist things going on with it too. So let's get started. At least this is the Eartha Kitt one, so hers is the best, I think.
Eartha Kitt? Oh yeah.
She's awesome. The song isn't, but I like Eartha Kitt. All right, let's start playing this song. Ready?
Okay.
Boom boom, 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 boom boom.
Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me.
What is a sable?
Daryl, you're old. What's a sable?
Yeah, a sable is like an ermine. It's a fur from an animal.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
it's
a very expensive fur.
I could have just Googled that instead of like being mean to you just now.
Hey, I'm 39 years old. I can take it.
So the first thing she wants is a fur coat, I guess.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right.
That's what women want.
Been an awful good girl, Santa baby. So hurry down the chimney tonight.
Like, man, your gift list is creepy to begin with. Like, what?
Well, and it's weird that she's like, I don't know if this is supposed to be a list to, like, her lover and she's pretending that he's Santa, or if she's like
I like to think that's what it is.
Or if she's got this like weird fetish for Santa Clauses and she's, I don't know.
No. She's singing this to her lover.
That's what
Santa
I assume.
Santa is her sugar daddy.
Mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Oh man,
But is he a black Santa or a white Santa?
This is a sugar daddy song.
Not even good.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed. Is she's just calling her sugar daddy Santa, I guess.
Like, you listen to the entire song and it's just her saying she wants expensive shit the entire time.
Right.
It's
right. If you watch the Marilyn Monroe version, it's unquestionable.
Right.
But like that's really my main problem with there's individual things within the song, but that's my main problem with the whole song is that it just reinforces the stereotype that women
are materialistic and that's all we're interested in.
We just want a rich dude to take care of us and give us sables. I don't know what that is. I was like, sable, is that like a fable and a stable put together? Like,
that's because we're not classy bitches, Dirty Nerdy. That's why we don't know what a sable is.
Hey, I'm drinking a vodka cranberry. That's not classy?
It's called a Cape Cod.
We're not classy. We're fucking classy. There's a difference.
All right. I can take that. All right. Keep playing the song because I like Eartha Kitt.
All right.
Santa baby, a 54 convertible to light blue.
Your ass.
Sorry, go ahead.
She specifies the color, and I was just like, if it's dark blue, she's dumping you. It's it. Divorce.
You better, come on, chop chop. Better get all this shit on this list.
Is she singing to her lover, or is this like a Sweet 16? Like, damn it, Daddy, I want this specifically.
Oh, I didn't think about that aspect.
I hope it's
Marilyn Monroe sang this song to Jack Kennedy, President Kennedy, in the White House on Christmas Eve in 1962, I believe it was.
And you remember it because you were there.
Is this just going to turn into
she made a lot of eyes at Jack Kennedy at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Is this going to turn into a bunch of ageist jokes against Darrell now? Like
maybe. Only good-hearted ones.
Yeah, right.
It's because we love you.
Yep.
I'll wait up for you, dear Santa baby. So hurry.
If you wait up for him, he won't come. You have to be asleep when Santa gets there.
But she wants him to come, isn't it?
That's how she's going to get those presents, right?
She wants him to hurry down her chimney.
Oh.
Which I have no problem with.
Nope.
Work it, girl. Work it.
Yep.
All right, keep playing.
Down the chimney tonight. Think of all the fun I've missed. Think of all the fellas that I haven't kissed.
So speaking of non-monogamy,
I just want to say, like, she's saying how good she is, and the way that she demonstrates that is by saying that she hasn't kissed a bunch of guys.
I hate when people talk about the fact that their relationship is good because they haven't fucked other people.
And that, you
like,
know,
if that's the only way that you're measuring the success of your relationship, I have bad news for you.
I could tell the boy tomorrow, like, we have a great relationship. I haven't kissed all these dudes. I don't think that would fly if we had any serious problems to work out, though.
So, yeah.
I have a great relationship with my left hand. I haven't done anything with my right hand.
Thank you,
Speak for yourself.
Sometimes you gotta switch off, man. Like,
so you can pretend it's a different person?
I
don't do that.
No, just because, like,
he's
your fingers get
monogamous,
tired.
guys.
Monogamous with one hand or the other.
Well, you know, some of us can't just get off with a toy in the shower, you know.
That's my penis you're talking about there.
Yes, I've seen it.
It's quite impressive.
Wait, how is it that every time we talk to Darrell, we end up talking about masturbating?
Because
hey, we're just getting started, aren't we?
You've seen that picture of Darrell from, it wasn't last year's Skepticon, it was 2 years ago Skepticon, where you look like a preacher standing in front of your projector with the big words behind you saying, "Do you masturbate?"
Exactly, right.
I think the more relevant question, Dirty, is how is it whenever we talk, it ends up being about masturbating?
I don't know.
Because she's dirty.
And nerdy and drunk. So that's just happening. All right, so
let's get back to Eartha Kitt.
There's more to this song, right?
Next year I could be just as good if you check off my Christmas list.
Is that another euphemism?
Well, I was going to say that, but also she's kind of bribing him, like, next year I won't cheat on you either, as long as you get me all this shit.
I could go to some other Santa who's willing to get me this shit. Kwanzaa bot, for example.
Krampus.
Or Krampus. Well, Krampus will just... If you're kinky, Krampus might work for you.
Hanukkah zombie. He gives me shit 12 nights a year.
Hanukkah zombie. Wait, 12 nights? Hanukkah's not 12 nights. It's 8 nights.
Whatever.
Caitlin, shush.
I'm drunk. Less drunk than you two, but whatever.
Alright, let's keep moving.
Santa baby, I want a yacht, and really that's not a lot.
Damn, what?
A yacht isn't a lot to ask for.
Like a yacht made of Legos, like a Lego yacht, like a little one that you play in the bathtub with.
Is she talking about the little man in the boat? Is that what's going on here?
Oh my god. Is this entire? Maybe this song isn't sexist, and it's an entire song just filled with euphemisms about getting her off.
Okay, maybe we do like this song.
Here's the thing. I love Eartha Kitt so much that I want it to be that.
Right?
So I can listen to this and be okay with it.
Maybe when she's saying she wants a yacht, she's like, hey, you need to play with my clit a little more often. Come on, chop chop.
So what is the sable then? Is she just saying she wants a hairy man?
No, she wants him to pet her pussy.
She wants to not have to shave.
Yeah. You need to be okay with fur.
Alright.
I'm going to try to come up with rationales for all of these now.
Been an angel all year, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight.
So what is hurrying down the chimney? Is like go down on me now?
No, I think it's just like, you can't rush into anal. You need to like work your way into that shit.
They said hurry.
I thought she said, oh yeah.
Yeah, hurry down the chimney. So go down on me?
Shit, I don't know. It's hard deciphering this one.
Santa honey, one little thing I really need, the deed.
Sorry, you can keep playing. That's all I wanted to say.
To a platinum mine, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight.
The deed to a mine? Like she wants to own a mining operation?
Yeah, she wants to own a platinum mine, though. Platinum is a heck of a lot more valuable than gold.
So far she wants a fur coat, a convertible,
Her clit played with.
Her clit played with.
A yacht.
A yacht. A platinum mine. Damn. I don't know how good the sex is with this woman, but
obviously pretty good.
Obviously.
I don't know. I mean, that's the sexist way of looking at this song.
Well, that's how you're supposed to look at it, right?
I guess so. She's being all sexy.
Yeah.
While she asks for the stuff. Yeah, okay.
Santa cutie, and fill my stocking with a duplex.
What? She wants DVDA. That's what that one is. Fill her stocking with a duplex.
And checks. So, like, she owns the duplex and is renting it out, and so she gets the checks? Or are the checks separate from the duplex? Like, she's just gonna...
If she owns a platinum mine, can't she just get her own damn duplex?
No.
So what's the platinum mine supposed to be, though?
I don't know.
Her bedazzled vagina.
It's
that
clitter.
Called? It's clitter.
Turn your labia into a yabia. Oh, no, I got it. The platinum mine is she wants piercings. That's what it is.
Okay, alright.
And she wants platinum piercings. I love this song more and more now.
It's not often that we have a stupid sexist song that we end up liking halfway through. In fact, I think this is the first time ever.
And checks. Sign your X on the line, Santa.
Don't fill out the amount, just sign
and hurry
it.
down the chimney tonight. Come and trim my Christmas tree.
What?
So now she wants you to shave her.
Daryl, your turn.
I was gonna say.
Hey, it's just what it says. She needs somebody to help her trim her Christmas tree. You guys are reading way too much into this.
Daryl, you know what? It's called Death of the Author, so we can interpret it however the hell we want. That's what that means, right?
Sure, why not?
It means what we want it to mean. I'll send you the link to TV tropes later, and then.
And like the writing the X on the check, I think that's just like after you've come, like just swoosh it all over.
No, that's not how that works. After he's come, I don't.
Like as he's coming, like or whatever.
You don't know. You're a lesbian.
I don't know.
You don't have to deal with cum, and you do have to deal with it. Nobody likes it.
Nobody likes men cum.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Right, Darrell.
I wouldn't know.
It's got a weird consistency. We'll go with that. Okay. Among other things.
Okay, I guess we can play
Let's finish this song.
With some decorations bought at Tiffany, I really do believe in you. Let's see if you believe in me. Santa baby forgot to mention one little thing, a ring.
But not an Uva ring, because that shit could kill you.
So this is the part where she's like all marriage and baby crazy.
Yep.
Because she wants a ring.
You're baby crazy. Why do we not have that as a drop for this show?
There's a baby crazy drop?
From Archer.
Ah, damn it.
Lada, you're baby crazy.
We need a baby crazy drop. I'll have to when I listen to this tomorrow while I'm sober, I'll remember it.
Maybe.
All right. There's not much left to the song.
Nope.
I don't mean on the phone, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight. Hurry down the chimney.
Oh yeah, cock ring. That's what the ring she wants. It's not about marriage.
Darrell, do you think we're being accurate at all in our reading here?
I would say you've gotten quite far off the mark, but it's entertaining no less.
I like it better this way. It doesn't feel as sexist. It feels like more fun and kinky, like she's telling him what she wants.
Yep.
I like that.
I think the modern interpretation is probably much more entertaining than the old one. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with
the whole cock ring thing. I think is ideal. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. See, it's not a ring on the phone. She doesn't say what kind of ring.
Right. Could be a platinum cock ring.
Yeah, there you go. Although I don't know why you'd want to spend that much money on a cock ring, but at least it wouldn't break like those, I don't know, those stretchy ones seem to break fairly often with Chris. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to broadcast our sex life real quick. Sorry. That's what I do.
I don't broadcast my sex life. You're welcome, the boy. I try not to anyway.
Try not to.
Sadly, the only pussy I get meows.
Well,
that's
sorry.
Odd. Why are they meowing at you?
Usually because they're demanding food.
Well, if you feed your partners, they might have sex with you.
Yep.
No, they're four-legged. They're the kids.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean fur babies?
Yes,
not
my fur babies.
All right.
Damn girl I ask out has already got a partner.
Well,
and is not non-monogamous.
I don't know about you, Darrell, but I'm pretty anxious to get started on non-monogamy.
Well, let's do it. I don't know what I know about it, but I'll see if I know anything.
Well, I think it was a conversation I had with you. You were one of the first people that Chris and I had talked to about non-monogamy. I believe I have to say you're a fun person to get drunk with. I believe you were telling us about the non-monogamous nature of bonobo chimps last time that you got drunk with me and my fiance.
Well, you may have been drunk, but I wasn't.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. What did Dory say? I want to hear all the juicy tidbits.
I don't remember all the details, but I have only been drunk once in my life, so I probably, and it was accidentally on top of that.
Pretty sneaky.
Yeah, right.
Accidentally on purpose.
No. I'd taken a bunch of antihistamines and forgotten about it, and then had some wine, and man, that knocked me out.
I took Unisom once and then drank a whole bottle of wine by myself.
Jesus.
Yeah, I slept for like 18 hours.
I bet.
So what are we going to talk about non-monogamy?
Well, you want to tell us about bonobo chimps and how they get it on? Because they seem to be pretty amorous.
Well, they are.
The
whole reason I was talking about bonobos to Dory was because I spent a couple chapters in the book talking about all the models of sexuality we have in the primate world, and not that humans will follow that, but there's just a wide variety of sexualities, and none of them look anything like what the Catholic Church or the Baptist Church tells us it should be. And so, but if we look at the bonobos, they're probably the most open sexually of all the primates, and
they haven't met me yet.
Well, there's sex between the most common form of sex among bonobos is between females.
Yeah,
that's
because that lines up with my life.
Yep.
The females are the leaders of the troop, and the top females kind of run this thing, and so you got to be friends with the top females. And
again, you're just describing my life. I don't. We'll see how this is different.
Lesbians are better than everyone. What can I say?
I'm not even lesbian.
Well, if something ever happened to the boy.
Yeah, then I'd be lesbian.
Yep.
Because what's the point?
Same with me and Chris. If Chris dies, I'm going full lesbian. I
told you, Chris is your beard.
He's not my beard. Like, if he was my beard, that would imply that I don't love him or don't like having sex with him. I do. He's just literally the only man that's okay with. Otherwise, it's all about other women.
I swear I won't interrupt again, Daryl. Keep talking about bonobo sex.
Well, yeah. So bonobos, when the female becomes sexually active, she has to leave the troop. She has to go somewhere else. Males always stay with their mothers, so it's definitely a matriarchal society. And the interesting thing about that is that we've got human societies that are not unlike that. There's societies where the female always has to leave and marry somebody outside, and then there's societies that the opposite's true. The man always has to leave and marry somebody outside. It just, humans are more, what I was trying to illustrate in the book was how flexible humans are when you compare human societies and human sexuality against chimps and bonobos and gorillas.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Are there any primates besides ours who attempt monogamy or are monogamous or?
Yeah, there's one species on the planet that's clearly monogamous, and that's the anglerfish. And the female is really big, and the male is really small. And when they get ready to mate, the male embeds himself in her skin for the rest of his life.
Oh,
that's monogamy.
You hear that, boy?
Damn.
That's what you're doing when we get married.
And he's gonna crawl under your skin and live inside you?
Oh God, no! No, I don't want that.
The only ostensibly monogamous primate of the major greater primates, not the great apes, but just the bigger primates, is the gibbons, and they're not even really particularly monogamous. There's almost no monogamous species on the planet of the Earth. There's just almost none. And humans certainly are not monogamous.
I thought penguins were monogamous, at least certain kinds.
Well, you always have to. There's a great book out. It's been out about 10 years called The Myth of Monogamy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this myth that penguins and swans and geese and stuff are monogamous. And it's a myth because when you look, there's really, and this is a really important concept, I think, we need to talk about tonight, is there's two kinds of monogamy. There's sexual monogamy and there's social monogamy. Humans may tend towards social monogamy, but we're not sexually monogamous. Geese tend to be socially monogamous, but they're not sexually monogamous. If you do a DNA analysis of the eggs in the nest of a female, and a male, you'll find that somewhere between 20 to 40% of the eggs are fertilized by some other guy, not the guy that's sitting on those eggs. Well, that's clearly not monogamous if you got DNA from somebody else.
Well, they're clearly tricking these men.
Yeah, exactly.
It's creepy.
And it's true of birds.
Tells you.
There's almost no true sexually monogamous birds. There's lots of socially monogamous birds, but there's not very many sexually monogamous birds. And when people talk about monogamy, you really can push my button on this one, because I think we should define our terms really carefully.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up social monogamy versus sexual monogamy, because those are pretty good distinctions to start off with.
Absolutely. And when we start making that distinction, then we can say, are we a monogamous species? No. But we do have a tendency to want to mate with a single and have a long-term relationship with maybe one person, but that's not even universal there. There's lots of societies where there's multiple sexual partners. And I'm not talking polygamy. I'm talking about all sorts of sexual partners.
Yeah. Well, even people, it seems to me like there's people who are technically monogamous, but they're like serial monogamous. Like they've been married 5 or 6 times or something like that, and it seems like they would benefit quite a bit from just being sexually non-monogamous.
Yeah, you've just brought up another pet peeve of mine, and that's, again, to define our terms carefully. That is not monogamous. Anybody that uses I call anybody that uses the term I call bullshit on anybody that uses the term serial monogamy. There's no such thing. Either you're monogamous or you're not. Here's the deal. Jesus said monogamy is one sex partner for life, period. That's monogamy. If you have had 2 sex partners, by definition, you are not monogamous.
Well, you know what I say to Jesus? Shut up, you're not my real dad. You don't get to define shit for me.
So what I advocate is we define these terms. Instead of calling it serial monogamy, let's call it a tendency towards exclusive relationships. Then you can have 10 exclusive relationships over a lifetime if you want. I don't care. But it's not monogamy. In fact, I in my talks, when I talk in front of groups, I oftentimes ask, how many of you know somebody that's monogamous? And 90% of the people or more will raise their hand in the room. And then my next question is, if it's not you, how would you know? And you heard the silence. That's what I have. And people put their hand down. Because you don't know. People will tell you all sorts of shit about their sex life. They'll lie to you all over the place. Both of my parents swore to me they were monogamous, but I've got some pretty good proof my dad wasn't. And I don't know if my mom was. I never got proof on her, but it.
So you're like digging through your parents' past to prove that they cheated on each other? Like.
I mean, my dad had a lover before my mom.
Yeah.
I've got some good evidence that he did, which that means he wasn't monogamous.
Yeah. I think
by definition.
I think it's interesting. I mean, because you could see these statistics all the time where they talk about like the majority of men cheat at least once during their marriage, and I think it's the majority of women also cheat at least once during their marriage, and it's like obviously we're pretty shitty at being sexually monogamous.
No, we're shitty at being exclusive.
Yeah.
We are terrible at monogamy. We don't do it at all.
Yeah.
If 10% of the population is monogamous, it would be surprising to me. And there's absolutely no way to know that anyway.
It would, especially if we're going with the literal definition of monogamous, then that's pretty fucking impossible.
Yeah, right. There was a study in England in the early 1950s of blood types, and they were trying, I don't remember the gory details, but they were trying to resolve some problems around the Rh factor, I believe, and blood transfusion stuff. So they asked lots and lots of married couples to donate, to give blood, and then they tested the blood and to try and figure out what the problems were with babies, having Rh factor stuff. I believe that was what the thing was. So they're just innocently collecting things to look at a disease issue, and what they find out is babies of these couples have a blood type that could not possibly have come from the father. And they found that somewhere between 8 and 15% of all babies born in England in the early 1950s were born of men that didn't know it, or born to women that didn't have sex with the man that thought that was the baby. And that seems that since that time, there's been a lot of other research. This is not even intentional. They weren't looking for this. They just accidentally found it. Since that time, there's been other studies that shown somewhere between 10 and 20% of children born in almost any culture are born not of the father who thinks he's the father. So we're not monogamous. Genetically, we got a lot of evidence for that.
Yeah, well, I guess now would be a good time to talk about, I guess, different identities that fall within non-monogamy. It seems like there's a lot of them.
I don't really know what
and I don't really know how to distinguish them either.
Yeah, a lot of times.
I think it's a fool's errand to try and distinguish them too much.
Yeah, I think. I mean, even Chris and I have changed our labels occasionally. So.
Deborah Annapol came out with her book Loving More back in, I believe, 1988, and I read it within months after it came out. And I've been interested in this since then, 26 years. And I studied it, talked to lots of people, interviewed people, done some research on it. And what is really, really clear is every person and every couple or every whatever define it for themselves. And what one person might want a long-term loving relationship with one person and call it an exclusive relationship, that's okay, but they give each other permission to have an outside lover once in a while. What do you call that? It's certainly non-monogamy.
Yeah.
But just about anything could be called non-monogamy. The Catholic priest is non-monogamous. He's, screwing lots of kids. That's non-monogamy.
But even if he's not, he's still not being monogamous unless you're counting him being monogamous with himself. But that's weird. So
he's being monogamous to Jesus. Obviously.
Yeah, I guess there's that.
That's true.
I would like, you went and said that each individual person kind of has their own view of what it was, and that goes into the idea of people automatically labeling non-monogamy as cheating.
Oh, it pisses me off so much.
I know. The way I put it is, cheating doesn't mean sleeping with another person. It means breaking the rules of the relationship.
Yeah, that's how I always quantify it too. And it's the rules of your relationship.
Yeah.
So,
not society's weird-ass rules.
I think that's an excellent definition, yeah.
Yeah, so when you get into a relationship with someone and it starts getting serious, you should have that conversation where you sit down and you say, what are the rules of this relationship? What are we going to agree on? Is there anything that's a deal breaker here? And then if they break those rules, then they have cheated. And depending on what rule they broke, it might be something that's reprehensible that you could never live with and it ruins the relationship, or it could be something that you can work around and deal with, and but that's different for each person. And so this idea that cheating is automatically the worst thing ever and it automatically means the same thing for each person just seems, it's baffling to me. I don't get it.
Well, and that it automatically makes the relationship irredeemable because they had sex with someone else.
Cheating is a symptom of something else. And when I talk about cheating, I like to think of it as a symptom, not the cause. And what it's usually a symptom of is the inability to communicate needs and desires and wants within a relationship.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
If one person feels stymied because of the other person's values or beliefs, for example, if you're more open-minded, sexually open-minded person married to a much more closed-minded person, and you mention, I'd like to go to a swingers club sometime, and they threaten to divorce you, then you're probably not going to bring that subject up again. Yeah. But you yourself may go to the the swingers club by yourself.
Not the divorce club.
Yeah.
Not the divorce club, right? You may go there too eventually.
Right.
So what I think we should be talking about. Cheating is, I like the definition, a violation of the rules of a particular relationship.
Yeah.
But too many people get in relationships blind, and they don't think them through. And that's okay. I mean, our culture has actually programmed us that love is forever. You're mine, I'm yours. This ownership bullshit. Ownership is a big part of relationship brainwashing that children get from the time they start listening to rock music or country music on the radio.
It's funny. Chris and I were at Fellowship of Free Thought, which is our little atheist church. OMG controversy, whatever. It's not actually a church, but that's what the media keeps calling them. So we were at Fellowship of Free Thought. I think this was like a year ago or maybe more. And we were chatting with someone there, and we were talking about monogamy specifically. And this person had the most hilarious way of looking at it. They said, there's no other relationship that you have in your life besides your romantic one where you're only allowed to ever have one. Like, even best friends, you're never going to have a best friend who's like, okay, you and I are best friends now, and if you ever are friends with anyone else, then we're not friends anymore, and I'm never speaking to you again. And it was like, yeah, you've got a good point there.
But our culture is so brainwashed and inundated with this idea of sexual fidelity, and it's a religious concept. I mean, it's clearly a Christian religious concept that we have no way of getting out of that.
It's crazy. One of those things where, I mean, Chris and I have become more and more comfortable with being, I don't know how you want to phrase it. I guess we're sexually open, or we can have sex with other people, whatever. And it kind of, like, whenever I'm watching mainstream media or things like that, like, I find myself getting more and more annoyed, especially by, like, love triangle storylines and shit like that, where I'm just like, what's the fucking problem here? I don't understand.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just be honest and everybody can be happy.
The biggest one that comes to mind for me is when Chris and I were watching Orange is the New Black, and there's like that big love triangle with Piper and her fiance and her former lover that she's in jail or in prison with. And it was hilarious because when Chris and I were watching that together, at one point, he looked over to me and he's like, just so you know, if you're ever in prison, I'm going to fuck other people. I was like, you can fuck other people now. Why would the rules change if I was in prison? If I was in prison, I'd be getting it on too.
Well, here's the problem. When people start relationships, especially young, when they're 20, 22, 23 years old, they don't really know a lot about what we're talking about right now, although I think people are getting more educated about it.
Yeah.
What they do is they just go into the relationship based upon the rules that the culture tells them that you have to be faithful for the rest of your life. Well, imagine this happened to me. I got married when I was 20 years old. My wife was 19. We go 6 months, and before 6 months is over, we're having big time problems. And I mean, it's not unusual for people at that age to have that kind of problems. And it was almost all directly related to our religious upbringing. We were both raised very, very religiously. So there's certain things you cannot talk about. Well, after a few months of not talking about critical problems in the relationship, it starts going south really quick. Now, we did remain married for 18 years. We had 2 kids. She's a good mother and all, and I think I'm a pretty darn good father and grandfather, but the issues were never, we could never talk about them. Because how do you start a relationship with one set of rules, i.e. the rules the culture told you to start the relationship in, and then change those rules midway through the relationship?
Yeah.
And we tried to change the rules a couple different times, and we just couldn't do it. It wasn't going anywhere.
Well,
and it was all because of our religious training.
When the boy and I first started dating, we started dating right at the cusp of when I was like coming out as bisexual and atheist and whatnot. And so I just told him flat out from the beginning, hey, I'm bisexual. I like men and women. And he was like, okay, I don't care. And I just kind of left it at that. And we occasionally would discuss non-monogamy, but it's the beginning of the relationship, so we're focusing on each other a lot type of thing. So we didn't become more open or anything till maybe a year into the relationship.
Yeah, I think it was. And
we've changed the rules a couple times since then, and it seems to work out. Like, I don't know. I guess it's because we're both atheists, so we don't have
the religious baggage.
Yeah, we don't have too much of that going on.
Right. But you started the relationship in a flexible way as well.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
that makes a big difference.
The same thing was true for Chris and I when we started. Like, one of our first conversations early on was, obviously he knew I was bi and trans. And I've joked about this before, but I really think it's true. I think especially with a straight guy, if he can get over the fact that his girlfriend was born with a dick, he can probably get over a lot of other shit too. Like, that's a pretty fucking big roadblock for people to deal with. So, one of the first conversations we had early on was like, I can't remember how it went specifically, but it was more or less, so I don't think it's wrong to look at other people that I find attractive. And I was like, hell no, I'm gonna look at hot-looking girls too. And he was like, okay, cool. He's like, I think I'm gonna like dating a bisexual. I was like, you're damn right you are. Although he and I have like fairly different tastes in women, which is kind of funny. But
I think it's interesting you bring up the age thing, Darrell, because I find it interesting that one of the best ways to explain people, like the whole non-monogamy, poly, whatever you want to call it, thing to people, is to break it down to them like a kid, like they're freaking 5 years old, and be like, okay, you love your mom, right? Yes. You love your dad, right? Yes. You can love more than one person that way, right? Yeah. There you go.
Well, it's the same with parents who love their
way to explain it.
It's the same with parents who love their children equally but differently. Like,
no, you can only love one children. All the others is just pretend.
So you have one favorite and the rest are just pretend.
Everyone does. They just don't say it.
So that's your primary relationship, and then you've got your secondaries.
That's my primary child-parent relationship.
Because I've had to do that. I mean, I
hope my future kids never.
I was in a relationship with two people about a year ago.
You're old enough to.
At the same time, and my grandmother. I'm asexual, and so when my grandmother found out that I was in a relationship with two people, she's like, "Oh my God, I don't need to hear about your sex life." I'm like, I don't have a sex life.
Yeah, yours is just poly-romantic.
Yeah, it's just like no sex. Just we went out, we had a date, we went and saw a movie, we had a good time. There's no sex in there. It's just.
I always think it's so funny. As we've gotten more comfortable about having a sexually open relationship, I'm more comfortable talking about it with other people, which is true about how I've come out with pretty much everything in my life. And it's so funny to see how people react when I tell them, oh yeah, my fiance and I are, we're poly, or we're in an open relationship, or monogamous, or whatever the hell label you want to use. I tend to use poly because most people have heard of that before, so I think
it's a good label.
I don't have to explain as much with them. I guess I could get into the nuance where I'm like, well, I guess I'm emotionally exclusive with Chris, but I'm sexually open with other people, and even the other sexual relationships I have are still important. They're just not as important as my primary relationship, and blah, 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 whatever. But it's so funny to see the looks on people's faces where they're just like, how does that even work? Doesn't that get complicated?
In front of us in class.
Yeah, like there's a girl.
It's like, this is how it works. I live with my fiance.
And I fuck other girls.
Sometimes I fuck girls. And that's how it works. And if the boy wants to hear about it, then he'll tell me and he'll hear about it. If he doesn't, then he doesn't hear about it. That's how it works. And it's the same for him, but I don't think he's fucked other girls. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chris
there's some biological stuff I think is interesting to look at with respect to the cycles that people go through. And I think once you understand those cycles, you can open up and start understanding what's going on in probably your previous relationships. Among other things, most people go through about a 4-year cycle in which they really do focus exclusively on each other, which is great. Biologically, we seem to be programmed for about a 4-year cycle, which gives you time enough to have the baby and get it weaned. But after that, both parties, the hormones start changing. And there's some research, there's actually several pieces of research that indicate that after about 4 years, people start looking outside the relationship for stimulation. It doesn't mean they go outside the relationship, but they do look outside the relationship for stimulation after about 4 years. Well, if you understand this about yourself, you realize, okay, we're in for about 4 years of real intense sexual interest in one another, and that's all well and good. But at 4 or 5 years, we need to be prepared for the next phase, and then we need to prepare to negotiate that next phase and change the rules if they need to be changed at that time. But both of you have already talked about how you've built that right into your relationships, but I don't think very many people do.
Well, and it's great. I think the communication between me and Chris, specifically because we're non-monogamous, at least sexually or whatever, I feel like the lines of communication are pretty much wide open. Like, I don't feel like there's any kind of taboo subject that I couldn't bring up with him that would just, like, destroy our relationship if I did. So I think that's one of the most freeing things about a non-monogamous relationship is, when you've got some of those big hurdles out of the way that most people aren't willing to deal with, it makes it easier to deal with other shit that comes up in your life and not be worried about destroying everything that you've built with this person because of it. So
right, yeah. Well, if there's one area that you cannot talk about in a relationship, then that area becomes like a dam, and the water starts building up behind it. Sooner or later, that water is going to come out.
Yeah.
It may come out, and it almost always comes out inappropriately in what we've termed earlier cheating, but it could come out other ways, as in illegal behavior, for example, or self-destructive behavior, or depression. There's lots of ways that it comes out in couples. I mean, as a marriage counselor, I saw it many times. Couples coming in, and I find out what's going on, and we haven't had sex in 6 months. We haven't had sex in 2 years. And so I started trying to ask him, well, the last time we tried to talk about it, we had a big fight. Well, what was the fight about? Well, I caught him using pornography, and that really messed me up. Or something.
Wait, if you're not going to have sex with someone, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, I don't understand this mindset. Like,
well, not only that, but masturbation is different from sex, and they're both enjoyable. Just because that's something I just plain don't understand. Like, Chris and I were just talking about this earlier this week, where it's like, yeah, just because you're sexually fulfilled with your partner doesn't mean you don't also want to masturbate, because masturbation can be fun in a different way than sex with different particular partners. Like, it's just like sex with men.
If you hook somebody up onto a machine, you'll find that masturbatory orgasms oftentimes are more intense than non-masturbatory orgasms.
Well,
so
you've had more practice with this. Yeah.
There you go.
And not only that, but it makes sense because you're focusing exclusively on yourself and getting yourself off and all of that. Not that there's anything wrong with focusing on whoever your partner or partners might be when you're having sex, because that's fun too. But I think that's why masturbation is fun in and of itself, because you're focusing on yourself and your needs, and you're getting that done, so you're not as distracted, I guess, as you are with partnered sex.
Well, I saw a video this week that just pissed me off big time, and it's something we ought to talk about. And this whole idea of sexual addiction, and masturbatory addiction. God. I just hope your listener. I want to make sure your listeners know there is absolutely no such thing.
No,
if somebody has problems, quote, problems with it, porn, they're neglecting their partner to masturbate. That's not porn addiction. That's relationship problems, and they need to talk about the relationship problems. Oftentimes, the person who's, jacking off all the time tried to talk about something they want with their partner and got rejected, and so now there's this tension in the relationship, and it has a negative downward spiral. I've seen this so many times. And then the spouse comes into me and says, my husband or my wife's addicted to porn, and it's their problem. Well, no, it's both your problems, because you won't talk about your sexual relationship. So, yeah, big pet peeve of mine is this whole idea of porn addiction or sex addiction.
They tried to get like the sexual addiction or whatever in the new DSM, and it didn't fly because it's not an addiction. It doesn't fall within the parameters of what an addiction is. At best, And I could at least see this argument in some cases. At best, it's a compulsion that somebody might use if they're dealing with stress or something like that.
Depression.
Or depression. I could see that argument for some people if it's not related to a relationship of theirs.
Right.
I could see the argument that this is a compulsion that they're using in order to cope with something else, either their relationship or something else that's going on in their life. But that doesn't make it an addiction. You treat
the depression, or you treat the otherwise compulsiveness, or the relationship. There's things to treat that are not directly related, but are causing the quote sex behavior.
That's what drives me crazy the most with the whole sex addiction thing. Is it's masking whatever the real problem actually is.
It's the same thing with gaming addiction and all those other shit.
Yeah.
The religious people love the idea of sex addiction. And
I know they do.
Because it brings you back to Jesus. So many of these sex addiction programs are religiously based.
Oh, it's the
same with
AA.
any other addiction thing.
I want to say
that 12-step program bullshit.
Exactly.
This reminds me when the whole Tiger Woods came out, and some news anchor, I think probably on Fox, was like, well, Tiger Woods should just become a Christian to deal with his sex addiction. Yeah, he was like, he should just become a Christian to deal with his sex addiction. And so it's like, when I hear people talk about sex addiction now, I'm like, so are you just trying to use this to get me to be a Christian? Like,
well, you saw me. I don't know if you were in class for that day when I called it out. We talked about. You weren't there for. We had the drugs day in our physio class.
Boy, yeah.
I called it out. Like, someone's like, oh, the 12-step program. I'm like, dude, 9 of the freaking 12 steps are religious based.
Well, and the 12-step program has about the same success rate as not being in any program.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is a really shitty success rate. Like, if
there's no research at all that it works.
There isn't. There are treatments that do have evidence to be effective for chemical addictions, but AA is not one of them. Praying isn't going to make it better, and that's what the 12-step programs boil down to. I know that will piss off a lot of 12-steppers sometimes if you point that out, but that's what it boils down to.
I mean, it's literally, you boil it down to it. I mean, it's like, I don't have the list of the steps here, but it was like, have faith in a higher power, pray that,
Well, the first step is that you have to admit that you're powerless. How the fuck are you going to implement change in your behavior if you don't think that you have the power to implement change in your behavior?
Well, yeah. And there's faith in a higher power is one of the other steps.
Yeah. I just, we could do a whole show on why 12 steps are fucked up.
We need to. But I do want to address one of the other things that Darrell mentioned here about the communication thing, because that is a huge thing. And I know you wanted to get into later about your thing about jealousy, the new form of jealousy. But I do want to mention that, and Dory and I talked about this a little bit earlier about how that jealousy. People who are drawn to these types of relationships can be less prone to jealousy because of the more they tend to communicate better and all that, but jealousy can still happen.
You mean in non-monogamous
relationships? And just as with any relationship, it only takes one person to not deal with the jealousy properly to have issues with the relationship, for it to cause shit to happen for everyone.
The whole poly family.
The whole poly family.
Yeah.
And let me jump in and challenge that a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't disagree that
you've got
one
a new
person
approach to jealousy you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, right. I don't disagree that one person can fuck it up. I totally agree with that. What I want to do is look more, take a microscope to jealousy. I think we should throw jealousy out. I'd like to get rid of the notion. It's a dumb idea. And here's why.
I especially think it's dumb when people think it's a sign of love, which is ridiculous.
Well, you can break jealousy down into its component parts. If somebody says I'm jealous or she's jealous, it tells you nothing. It gives you no information whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody says she's afraid of losing her emotional support for child rearing, that gives you a lot of information.
Yeah,
that's true.
If somebody says he's afraid of being betrayed by her and a trust being undermined. That tells you a lot. That gives you information. If you take jealousy and break it down, you'll find that things like ownership. I mean, listen to the pop songs. I'm yours forever. You're mine forever. Ownership is a component of this thing that people call jealousy. But it's an irrational component. No human being owns another human being. I mean, slavery was thrown out many 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of this idea that anybody owns anybody else. But you hear this when people say I don't give him or her permission to do something. Wow, that sounds like you own him. You control him or she controls you.
Let me jump in here on that because you have to keep in mind that a lot of people who are non-monogamous are also in the DS scene in kinky.
Well,
so there's
I mean that's stuff that's going on with a wink and a nod, though. That's not really the same as like.
Yeah, but then there's still that whole own that whole role thing.
Caitlin, I've been in the BDSM scene for 15 years, and
so am I. And it's not slavery, but there's still that whole.
It is consensual, and
it is
you
consensual.
Oftentimes even have a signed contract.
Yeah.
That all people have agreed to. So it's clearly consensual with safe words and other outs.
But it's still you still have that mindset though of ownership. It's still, even though it's not actual slavery, you still have that mindset.
What I kind of love about that though is it's taking this fucked up thing that people use with jealousy and things like that, and it's like turning it into a kink, which I think is kind of awesome in a way. Where they're taking this fucked up notion that society has and then turning it around on
and I'm
its
not
head.
disagreeing with you, Darrell, that there's definitely it's more of a fear concept and it's that fucked up concept of ownership, but it's still there's still that mindset of ownership of
and that's okay if somebody wants to be conscious of that. I'm okay with that.
If somebody wants to be owned, then
what I'm saying is most relationships aren't even conscious of these subliminal messages, low-level messages they've been taught since children, of ownership, of possessiveness, of needing somebody. This whole need thing. I need you and you need me. No, I do a lot better if you're around, and I want you around, but I don't need you. I did fine before I found you. You did fine before you did fine before you found me. So I just want to. I want to stop using jealousy, and I want to start breaking it down to its component parts. When I'm working with a couple, and it's usually two people, although I have worked with some poly people. If I'm working with a couple and she's or he's jealous, I say, wait a minute, what are you telling me? Are you afraid he's going to take his money and go somewhere else? Are you afraid he's not going to do his share of the housework? Are you afraid he's not going to help you with child rearing? Are you afraid she's emotionally going to desert you? And if we can get down to that level, then we don't even need to use the word jealous after that, because we've got the components that we can work with. It's like being a mechanic. I can't fix an engine if I don't know the component parts of that engine, and that's what we're doing with jealousy. It's what I like to have your listeners consider in their own relationships: is what are the component parts of this thing you call jealousy, and then how do you work with those? And how do you communicate with your partner using those component parts?
I think it's a really good way of looking at jealousy or just completely getting rid of it. It's pretty good points. I mean, we pretty much don't deal with jealousy in our relationships, Chris and I, but whatever twinges that I do get from jealousy, usually it doesn't even have anything to do with being worried about the things that you've mentioned. Sometimes it just has to do with like my body dysphoria coming out because of the whole gender thing and all of that, where I'm like, oh, well, I haven't had surgery yet, and so I've got some insecurities about that that will occasionally come up, not very often, but occasionally they do. And you're right, like it's not really about jealousy, it's more about this other issue that needs to be dealt with. So I think it's a pretty important thing to keep in mind.
Well, I've dealt with
another one I haven't mentioned is fear of abandonment.
Oh yeah, I think that's probably what most people's
call that
jealousy
jealousy,
comes
but
from.
it's not. It's fear of abandonment.
And I have dealt with a lot of, what people would label jealousy, and it is mostly a lot of these fears that, I'm going to lump as jealousy because for each individual case it was a different fear.
Yeah.
Different relationships.
So let's talk about the fears and then not worry about calling it jealousy.
Yeah, but I'm going to say jealousy now because it's different relationships in different cases rather than me just saying a fear for each case. Because I've had different, attempted relationships, and that was going to get into, and I'll explain those with one after I give my second point here that I was going to get at, that, like we were talking about earlier, that there's so many damn forms of these that sometimes people be in these relationships and not even realize it, and that's when I get into my story here of, like I've been in these relationships for frickin' ever, My earliest memories is doing kinky shit, as a kid. So I've been kinky for frickin' ever. I've always done kinky, relationships. And I've had someone who's been a friend for like 10, 15 years. What is that?
It's
Google Hangout.
Google Hangout being stupid. Keep going.
And, he's, since then he's become, he and I do age play stuff, and he's become my daddy, and he's in a primary relationship with someone else who's a furry that I just call Foxy for whatever reason. But their primary relationships, but I've always been looking at other relationships, and those have fallen apart because of these fear issues where, all us ladies here, we're ladies who get shit done, and as a submissive, that gets you a lot of respect from dominance, a lot of compliments, a lot of that. But unfortunately, from other submissives, that gets you a lot of essentially jealousy, because then they start having those fear of, well, are you going to take over my spot? Am I going to be abandoned by the dominant? Whatever. They start worrying about what's going to happen to them. And so a lot of those relationships fell through. And one day, my daddy was just basically like, see, this is the problem with these poly relationships. You're always, there's always this jealousy shit that comes up. And I finally just said to him, dude, you do realize you're in a poly relationship with me, right? And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you, me, and Foxy. That's a poly relationship.
Yeah, right.
And he's like,
by any definition.
Oh, I didn't realize that. And he's like, oh, okay. But I mean, because he didn't think about it that way. Because between me and him, it's not sexual. It's not romantic. I mean, we just do age play stuff. I mean, it's our relationship between me and him is just purely father-daughter.
No.
But
so we're getting close to when we want to try to wrap up the show. So I guess one of the things that I was thinking of is, so let's say we're giving advice to our listeners who have never really considered like how to have this conversation with either their current partner or future partners, as far as like what rules they want to establish for their relationship when it comes to things like that. So what are some categories that we could break down? I know you mentioned socially monogamous and sexually monogamous, which I think are two pretty important distinctions to make, but I don't know, are there other things any of us can think of that should probably be brought
openness.
up?
Yeah, I think for me is honesty is quite a large category.
Hell yes.
You can say, yes, I want you to be honest with me, but then it's like, well, how honest? How much do you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
And in starting out our open relationship, the boy and I didn't realize that we would need to specify this.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes we were sharing too little, sometimes we were sharing too much, and we had to sit down and have another discussion about the communication part. Like, how much communication do you really want from me from this? And it turns out they wanted less. Like, we wanted less communication.
Interesting.
Yeah, some couples who are non-monogamous have like a don't ask, don't tell policy where it's okay, they just don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, they're like, it's fine, I don't care, I don't want to hear your exploits.
Well, I can say that when I wrote Sex and God, the last 5 chapters of that book I wrote to get people to talk to each other and to ask some pretty tough questions, because my thesis is that it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in, you're still being affected by religious programming, things you were taught as a child or things you've absorbed from the culture. So I don't have a whole list of stuff for us to. We wouldn't even have time to talk about it right now. But and I wouldn't want your listeners to go get the book and just read the last 5 chapters. But those last 5 chapters were designed for people to ask some questions about how they communicate with their partner and what they're communicating. And I think that we're not trained in how to be honest. We're trained in how to lie to each other. From very early on, we are taught how to hide our feelings, how to not tell people what we're really thinking. So when you get into a close relationship, it's a whole new skill you have to learn. And one of the things I really love in the BDSM world is the contract and the checklist. I think there's a lot that can be you can gain by, even if you're not in the BDSM world. Those contracts you can get them online. Just go out and look at BDSM contracts. Really force you to communicate. Really ask questions about what you want, what you don't want, how much communication do you want, how much do you not want. All these things. I think eventually, to have a good relationship, you've got to do those. You've got to talk about those things.
Yeah, and the fine art of negotiation from BDSM is something that anybody in a non-monogamous relationship needs to learn as well.
Any relationship.
I find it kind of funny that you're like explicitly saying basically write it out in a contract or like write it down. Because anytime
I've heard people ridicule that before.
Yes, anytime I have get into any discussion about like rape culture and consent, people are like, well, what do you want me to do? Write a contract every time? And I'm like, yeah, if that's what you need to do. And they're being sarcastic and I'm being completely serious. I'm like, if you're not sure, write that shit down.
Right.
So you both know you're on the same page.
Something that I think...
I guarantee you, if you sit down with your partner, whoever this partner is, and you go through the contract, by the end of an hour or two, you will have the most amazing understanding of one another. There will be incredibly reduced danger of violating boundaries.
Yes.
And that's the real issue. You don't want to violate somebody's boundaries.
If you care about not violating boundaries, then you're willing to do this.
Yeah.
The only reason you wouldn't be willing to do it is if you don't care about violating boundaries. And that's a scary person that I don't want to have sex with. So.
I agree. Absolutely. Somebody who doesn't understand boundaries is dangerous in bed.
I think it's interesting something that you touched on a little bit. You brought up that we're basically trained to not be honest and I think a lot of that's true. Something that I've noticed is that in the queer community and the kink community and other communities where people have had to have, like, I guess what alcoholics would call a moment of clarity, where you have to, like, be brutally honest about who you are to yourself. I've noticed in communities where that's had to happen before, there tends to be a lot more acceptance about this kind of communication with your partner. Because I know that it's like a stereotype that queer people aren't monogamous or whatever, but I don't think I think it's just humans are not monogamous, and queer people are more comfortable having those conversations.
I like to say it's not just, I may have just lost my train of thought. I don't think it's just the moment of clarity. I think it's also the fact that these people have had to, for the most part, when you grow up, when you learn the script of dating, you learn it from a strictly heterosexist point of view, from a heteronormative point of view. And if you grow up and you're going to get into a BDSM relationship or a gay relationship or anything like that, there is no script.
So you have to write your own.
You have to do it yourself.
Which is what you should be doing anyway.
Well, I think it's also just a matter of, all these people live in closets, and once you've broken out of the fucking closet, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to be as honest as I can.
Yeah.
And
I think heteronormative relationships could benefit from this very skill immensely. There would be a lot less divorce if people would just talk to each other.
You can be hetero and just not be heteronormative.
Yeah.
Nobody should be heteronormative.
And here's 3 basic rules that I have for any poly relationship. And they're really basic, and you can break them out in more detail. But here's the 3 basic rules I have: don't lie to me. Don't bring me any diseases. Don't get pregnant.
That's pretty much.
That was the rules. The first 3 rules that the boy and I laid down were, no lying, no diseases, and no outside babies.
Yep.
Those were our rules.
I mean,
we had those in the 1 penis policy is what we have.
Yeah,
in ours
and the 1 penis policy. That's the other one for ours. I'm not really attracted to other dudes that much anymore.
Yeah, I'm not either. It's not much of an issue.
And he's straight, so not an issue there, so it's fine. But yeah, I mean, we've expanded on it a little bit now, and if I were to go further, it would, I think, reveal a little bit more than the boy would want me to. So I'll just leave it at that.
You know,
I
those
wouldn't
are
go
three
into
basic
all the details
rules,
of
and
ours
you can build on those. I mean, the no lying. You can go into more detail of how honest and all that.
Yeah,
and all that, no diseases.
Like for me, my issue was like, well, if I don't tell him that such and such happened with so and so, is that lying?
Mm-hmm.
Lying by omission, or would he be okay not knowing about this?
Yeah.
And we've already discussed this area of our relationship, so we're.
Well, the no diseases one can be even expanded, like the no penises rule for your relationship.
Exactly.
That's part of the no diseases thing.
Well,
kind of.
It wasn't really for disease purposes, but
well,
yeah,
but
it's just following the rules.
Call it that. Yeah.
that could be part of a way of expanding upon that.
And also it helps with the no outside pregnancy.
I'm gonna say it's probably closer related to the no outside
well, it could
babies.
be for both of those, so
No outside babies for me.
Well, Dory, I wonder, when do we have to wind up here?
We technically got another hour.
We technically have another hour. I'm just trying to wind us down. So, what do you got?
Well, you want me to stay up here for another hour?
I'm gonna say I know you don't want to stay up forever with us, so.
Yeah, I like you guys, but not that much. Okay.
What?
2 o'clock's gonna be my.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin soon.
Well, I guess just to reiterate, that whatever kind of relationship you and your partner or partners have, communication is the most important damn thing that you need to have. So that's pretty much what we've been saying.
There's some good books out there. I mean, obviously, I think my book's pretty damn good, but I think
I agree. Your book is awesome.
The Ethical Slut was another good one we talked about earlier.
I've heard there's like a newer book that's I guess more up to date than the Ethical Slut, and I forget what it is.
Well,
I forget.
I love Ethical Slut, but Tristan Taormino's new book called Opening Up is as good or better, and
That's the one.
I think more up to date. And I like Tristan Taormino. I think she's excellent in many ways, besides just her writing. And there's other resources out there. There's the Polyamory Weekly podcast that has been going on for like 8 years.
Oh, cool! I didn't know about that one.
The Minx Polyamory Weekly podcast. It's an excellent podcast, and she has really good discussions on polyfamilies, on jealousy issues, on how to negotiate contracts. I mean, every week for the last 8 years, she's had Tristan Taormino on her podcast a number of times, among other people, Dosa Easton and some of the Ethical Slut people and all. So yeah, that's a resource. But another resource I wanted to make sure before I sign off on was was not kind of unrelated to everything else we've talked about, and that's the Secular Therapist Project.
Yeah, I love the Secular Therapist Project. I'm glad you wanted to plug that real quick.
Yeah, I want to plug that because it's hard in some communities to find a therapist that's well trained and won't send you back to church.
Yeah.
There's Christian counselors being graduated all over the place in these religious institutions, are graduating licensed Christian counselors. And they will not say they're Christian necessarily. You won't even know it till you go in and you've been in there for 6 weeks and they say, well, have you tried prayer? You don't want to hear that after 6 weeks of paying a counselor. So also, if you're a counselor in Oklahoma City or you're a counselor in Fargo, North Dakota, you can't say I'm an atheist counselor or I'm a secular counselor, or the judges won't refer anybody to you. Hospitals won't refer anybody. Ministers certainly won't refer anybody to you. So you'd lose your whole practice just by coming out as an atheist in Fargo, North Dakota, or South Dakota, I'm sorry. So what I did 2 years ago, I started the Secular Therapy Project, and what we do is we register a therapist and we verify that they're secular. In fact, they have to go through jump through some hoops for us before we'll let them in. So we've got 150, as of today, we've got 158 therapists all over the United States that agree that they will only use secular methods in their therapy, evidence-based secular therapy methods. And you can't look in the yellow pages and get a therapist and be guaranteed they're going to use evidence-based methods. They may use New Age methods, which is a bunch of bullshit.
Yep.
Or they may try to realign your chakras or something like that.
Man,
there's a lot of bullshit out there in the therapy world, and what we're trying to do is cut all that bullshit out and guarantee that you can find a second. So what I want your listeners to do, if they need a therapist or a counselor, or they know somebody that needs a therapist or a counselor, go to our website first, seculartherapy.org, and just register. It's all anonymous. You don't have to put a name or anything in. Put your zip code in, and it's like a dating site. You can find out how many therapists there are within 100 miles of you, or 50 miles, or whatever. It's like Match.com for therapists.
No, I love the Secular Therapist Project, and I'm hopefully going to be a member once I'm done with my years and years of school. But
you and me both.
So
well, and the
I'm
Secular Therapy Project is a subset of the Recovering from Religion organization, which I started back in 2009. And we are getting close to launching our hotline project, Sarah Moorhead's.
I've heard about that. It's exciting.
And we've got this hotline project. We got the funding for it, and
I think I
that's
talked
kind
about
of a
that
funny.
with Sarah Moorhead at at Skepticon.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, she was at Skepticon.
Yeah, I met her at the hotel later on that Saturday night.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You were too drunk to remember.
There was a lot of killing brain cells that weekend.
There was.
That's what happens at Skepticon.
Well, Sarah's an amazing person. There's not too many people on the planet that I have any more respect for than her. But anyway, so there's a lot going on with Recovering from Religion, with the Secular Therapy Project, and other things. So just wanted to make sure your listeners knew about it.
Yeah, well, we love what you do. We love your books. So we're extremely glad to have you on. Hopefully we can have you on again sometime. If nothing else, we'll see you at Skepticon again. Woo!
Yeah, I love Skepticon. I love it. It's not that far from my house, where I live, so it's not hard for me to get there.
Are you coming to the North Texas Secular Convention?
Yeah, I'm speaking.
Yay!
I'll be speaking on the book, Sex and God at the convention. So
we're trying to put together We Thinkers for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for putting the ad on. I noticed, but Sex and God just came out earlier this year in audiobook form too.
Yeah, we saw that you're on Audible, and we were like, sweet, we know what our recommendation is this week.
Yeah, and the God Virus is on Audible as well. They're both on Audible. David did them both for me.
Yeah.
Well, I did the voice.
Wait, Fitzgerald?
No.
I was gonna say you have David Fitzgerald read the book.
No,
Darrell, you've read your books for your audiobook, right?
Yeah, I read my own books.
Yeah, which is awesome. I love when authors read their own books.
Dogma Debate did the engineering for them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off here, guys.
All right. We're going to sign off, too, with you.
I got to party hard tomorrow night, too, so.
All right. Okay,
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. It was great having you. Bye, Darrell.
Have a good one.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have. Join us next week when our topic is... I don't even know what our topic is next week.
I don't know.
Oh, queer politics.
Is it queer politics?
Yeah.
All right.
Join us next week when our topic is queer politics. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just a reminder, this episode has been brought to you by Audible.com. To get a free Audible.com trial, go to audibletrial.com/shethinkers. And now, in the interest of being fair and unbiased, here is today's counter-argument.
Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. And when I saw this headline, I kind of laughed, and I said, oh, this is so ridiculous. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa, you know? And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, you know, Santa is what he is, and just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote about it, kids. Okay, I wanted to get that straight. But Jedediah, when I read the piece, the author seems to have, you know, she's African-American, and she seems to have real pain at having grown up with this image of a white Santa, and she speaks about it kind of honestly, saying, I didn't really understand why that had to be.
Yeah, she wants Santa to be inclusive, and I had the same reaction. Initially, I was thinking, oh, this is more politically correct nonsense, this is hypersensitivity in our culture. And then you read the piece and you really walk through the steps with her. I think it's a tribute to her writing, and you realize if you were a young kid and you were African American and your Santa Claus was white, it would affect you when you went to school. Maybe you wouldn't feel that you were part of that tradition. Now, she suggests that a penguin should be Santa.
Okay, that's where she goes off the rails.
Well, I think that's kind of interesting, though, to have an animal, which is something that kids love, sort of brings that cartoonish component into it, and I think that makes all kids kind of feel welcome in the process. So I see where she was going with that.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make all kids feel.
Hey, I like penguins.
It makes all birds feel welcome.
Kids
Monica,
like penguins.
You know, but okay, so I've given her name is Aisha Harris. I've given her her due on where she was going with it, but just because it makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it has to change. You know, I mean, Jesus was a white man too, but you know, it's like he was a historical figure. I mean, that's a verifiable fact, as is Santa. I just want the kids watching to know that.
Yes.
But my point is, how do you just revise it, you know, in the middle of the legacy of the story and change Santa from white to black?
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
Hey, don't be stupid, John. A swarthy Turkish Santa will make people very uncomfortable.
Yes. But that Megan said, just because you feel uncomfortable, that doesn't mean you should change it.
Oh, wait, no. Megan said if I feel uncomfortable, there's no need to change it. If white people feel uncomfortable, then we have to change it. And then pretend it's the way it's always been.
Lift me up, let me go on silvery planet smooth while you're lying next to me, like the sun high above. You're the whip and the glove. Miss me sweetly, I had you find me. See my toy store, never know what I'm looking for. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. Take me out, mountain shiver under me. River running river over my feet. Like a world holding me, you're the clouds and the trees. Miss me sweetly, I had you find me. See summer toy store, never know what I'm looking for. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. And I read it in a storybook that a telltale heart is well understood. And you couldn't do a thing for me. I'm much past help, you see. Hear that sound, fly around the world on a balloon trip. Take my love, double it and triple it. Show my hand, it's not too bad, not too soft and not too hard. Miss me sweetly, I had you find me. See, saw my toy store.
On my first feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me a necklace from Surly Amy. On my first feminist Christmas. Or my second feminist Christmas.
There's too many syllables to
Whatever.
do that.
On my second feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 2 male tears and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my third feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my fourth feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my fifth feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 5 stolen screams, 4 witty peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my sixth feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my seventh feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 7 female state representatives, 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my 8th feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 8 gender-neutral toys, 7 female state representatives, 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my 9th feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 9 women in science centers, 8 gender-neutral toys, 7 female state representatives, 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my 10th feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 10 intersectional discussions, 9 women in science centers, 8 gender-neutral toys, 7 female state representatives, 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my 11th feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 11 new tumblers, 10 intersectional discussions, 9 women in science centers, 8 gender-neutral toys, 7 female state representatives, 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy. On my 12th feminist Christmas, my partner gave to me 12 votes for Wendy, 11 new tumblers, 10 intersectional discussions, 9 women in science centers, 8 gender-neutral toys, 7 female state representatives, 6 clinic escorts, 5 stolen ice creams, 4 frozen peaches, 3 witty blogs, 2 male tears, and a necklace from Surly Amy.
Woo! It's funny how, like,
fuck, that's a long
we
song.
had no soprano in that, so it was Dory and I doing alto and then Caitlin doing tenor. I think it still worked.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Surly Amy.
Woo! Good night.